Hello Ben, welcome back to Croatia and thank you for taking the time to talk to us. So your speech at the Greenside Festival is entitled Beyond the Map, but rather than talking about actual physical faraway places, you're talking about a different way of thinking about the world around us. What do you think we're getting wrong maybe, and what kind of interpretations do you think we need today?
Gosh, I mean, the theme really of what I'm here in Croatia talking about is state of mind. And I think for a lot of people, travel is very literal. Mm-hmm. So you might go to a beautiful place like Split, or you might go to Venice or London or New York. And a lot of people take it at face value. So you'll go and look at a beautiful building. Maybe you'll go to a beautiful museum, and there's a place for that. But what I've discovered through, nearly 40 years of traveling, 25 extensive years of traveling, is that there's so much more to what you can get out of travel, depending on what you put into it. You get to meet local people, you get to absorb and actually feel a place for what it is, not for maybe what hotels or the tourism industry want to sell to you.
You're famous for bringing us kind of extreme stories. So you film people who live off the grid in the wilderness, you've lived in the wilderness yourself, rode the Atlantic, climbed the Mount Everest, but maybe for some people even not staying in a nice hotel and talking to strangers, locals, is already, a step outside of their comfort zone. What would you tell them?
I think you're quite right. Mm-hmm. I think that's the beauty of travel, mm-hmm. and adventure in particular. My adventure for me might be too much for other people, mm-hmm. But I think adventure is just taking yourself out of your comfort zone. Anyone who might find it, a little bit scary, the idea of going away and not coming and spending time in a lovely hotel, I think just small steps. Take small steps, and eventually I think you will find a whole wonderful world out there.
On your travels, you've also seen the effects of climate change, of the decrease in biodiversity, habitat destruction, and so on. Do you think we can do something concrete about it without being ready to commit to maybe even extreme measures, speaking of extremes?
I've always considered myself an environmentalist, but with a small e. I'm not a very good environmentalist. My carbon footprint is very high, it's elevated with the amount of travel that I do. But I also don't think I should use that as an excuse to not try to make other changes to my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And that's what I always suggest to people, is that don't go too big. If we all start making smaller changes, less car journeys, less flights, I think we should all take small steps in much the same way that I've been suggesting about travel. So I think I'm actually quite a hopeful environmentalist, mm-hmm. with a small e, because I think our younger generations are really passionate about making those changes. Mm-hmm. And I'm already seeing it. When I travel, I've just been here in Istria, visiting vineyards and olive presses and other businesses, all of whom are trying to be as sustainable as possible. And I don't just see that here in Croatia, I see that in multiple nations. I just got back from China, mm-hmm. and China is often written off as one of the mm-hmm. worst eco-destructive nations in the world. That was not what I saw. I saw a nation that really is pushing alternative energies, green energy, electric cars. And I think we have to just be a bit more open-minded about what we can do collectively as a worldwide nation. Because ultimately, we talk about destroying the planet, but the planet will bounce back. Yeah, the planet is pretty robust. It's us that we're destroying.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about nature preservation, there is this, let's say, modern Western ideal of nature protection. And then on the other hand, there are indigenous societies that have never really cut off themselves mm-hmm. from their natural surrounding completely. And you've visited quite a few of those societies. What do you think those two sides could learn from each other?
I have seen many indigenous people, First Nationers all around the world, who are incredibly respectful and incredibly sustainable when it comes to how they use the land on which they live. And that's born through multiple generations who value the importance of ensuring longevity ensuring the fish stocks will remain, the animal stocks will remain. But many of our Western values come from big cities where we have already destroyed our natural habitats, so we want to impose quite strict initiatives on others. So I think it's about communication.
And we've seen many of your documentaries even on our program. So what's maybe the next topic you want to cover? And you mentioned you've been to Istria, you've traveled through Croatia already. Could we maybe see our country as well in one of your upcoming works?
I quite like to pull back the curtain of a place we think we know or that we have read about prolifically in the papers. I would love to come back to Croatia and make a more immersive film here. I'm fascinated by islands. Okay. You have a lot of islands.
That's great. We're looking forward to watch your other documentaries, but maybe also one about Croatia one day. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you. I always love coming to Croatia, so thanks for such a warm welcome.